Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar and our presentation on our education systems journey to Costa Rica, happening with our host, Dr. Rebecca Palacios, on June 9th to the 16th. Before we get into our presentation, just a little bit of housekeeping. Everybody on the webinar this afternoon is muted, but that does not mean we don't want your questions. We absolutely want you participating, dropping in your questions, your comments. We want to hear from you. So please click on, if you have any questions or concerns, please click on that question and answer tab or the chat tab and type in your questions there. We'll have plenty of time during the presentation as well as at the end to answer any questions or concerns. Also, please note that our webinar is being recorded this afternoon. So if you do have to step away or you have somebody who wanted to be here but they couldn't attend, please know that we'll be sending out the recording to everybody so you can share it or rewatch it if you miss any aspect of the presentation. Before we get started, I wanted to just also introduce my two favorite co-hosts. We have Nicola, who's our founder, and Rebecca, who's going to be our journey host. But before we get to Rebecca, I wanted to just bring Nicola on board here so that way she can talk a little bit about Nanda Journeys for those of you that are maybe unfamiliar, and just tell you a little bit more for those that are already familiar. Welcome, Nicola. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, Michael, this is one of my favorite things to do and one of the highlights of my week. And love to talk about our international journeys. And first, let me extend a thank you to you for being here to talk about this today, and to Becky. Becky, I'm so excited to be doing this journey with you, and we have collaborated in the past, and this is going to be an amazing experience. To Costa Rica, a destination that my children tell me is their favorite, and having a mom that works in travel, they're really lucky. I've been to a lot of places, so super exciting. So welcome everybody to the Nanda family, and that's how we think of you all here, whether you've traveled with us before, whether you're considering traveling with us, or you just have a curiosity. Consider yourself part of the Nanda family, and we love doing what we do here. I started this company in 2015 after a very long career in travel and tourism in the UK and in the United States. And specifically for a student travel company, people-to-people ambassador programs, for those of you that are familiar. They're sadly stopped operating in 2015, but I love the people connections, the educational nature, and the immersion elements of what we were doing. So I decided to put my big girl pants on, and here we are as Nanda Journeys, and I wish you the warmest welcome. So a little bit of the Nanda way and why we're a little bit different. This is actually not a very clever marketing tool. And although Michael is our marketing expert, this is not my work. It's not his work. It's actually the work of our clients, our leaders, our guides. They were constantly telling us how much they loved the Nanda way. So they actually coined this phrase for us, and it's just become one of our taglines because it's a perfect fit. The Nanda way means that we love everything authentic. We love getting you connected to people, to the culture. We love being really responsible in the decisions we make about the kinds of things we're planning for you, whether that be on this Costa Rica journey or on any of our international journeys. Our goal is to have every dollar that we spend on your behalf stay in the local community. Everything's bespoke. This itinerary has been created with the wonderful Becky Palacios, who will be introduced here in a second. And I'm so excited to bring this opportunity to everybody tonight.
I mean, the Nanda way is one of my favorite things about Nanda Journeys, how every journey packs all of this into one amazing experience. But above and beyond all these things that make Nanda Journeys a journey with you unique, is also your journey hosts. And this is no exception, this itinerary and this tour. You'd already mentioned that she's joining us. Tell us a little bit about Dr. Rebecca, our host for the tour.
Yes, and we do have the great honor and privilege to be once again working with Dr. Rebecca Becky. She loves to be referred to as Becky, and that is part of her personality. She shines, she's amazing. She is so dedicated and committed to education, to bilingual education. She's the author of several books. She was the first teacher of the year in Corpus Christi in Texas, which is an accolade that I think is just truly wonderful. She's also an inductee of the National Teacher Hall of Fame, bilingual teacher of the year. She's worked with the Coalition National Board for Teaching, and she's also a founding member of the Board for Professional Teaching Standards. She's led so many delegations internationally with people to people, and now Nanda Journeys is a continuation of that effort. And I'd like to give you the warmest welcome to Becky. Becky, welcome and thank you for being here tonight.
Well, I'm so excited to be here, to be able to have the honor and privilege to lead this delegation and to be able to go to Costa Rica, one of my favorite places where the motto is Pura Vida. It's just full of life, right? So Pura Vida, as we move forward to this introduction to Costa Rica and this journey.
Oh, thank you. So I want to talk a little bit.
Yeah, take it away, Nicola.
No, sorry, I was just going to go back a little bit there. I just wanted Becky just to expand a little bit on our international experience, just to tell us a little bit about some of the countries that you visited, Becky, on these international delegations.
Well, it's been quite an experience to be able to be a classroom teacher and travel and to lead other teachers to those professional development and cultural experiences. And I've been with people to China, to Russia, to South Africa, and to Egypt. And each of those has been so special in each way, right? In every way that we went, to be able to not only meet with the people from the US, but our counterparts in the country, and to be able to talk about professional development, teaching what are the best practices, where they are with their alignment of their standards and their work in the world. And how we want to prepare our children internationally to be global citizens. And so in these different types of professional development opportunities, we will visit schools, we will visit with ministers of education, with teachers, with families who are all part of that educational process. But also the other side of that is the cultural piece. How do we get to know the people and what they do, how they work, what they love, the culture, the environment, the agricultural and ecological life in that biome, in that stage of where they're living. So I'd love to be able to take you on this trip to Costa Rica, to be able to not only help and learn, but also to teach one another about best practices in teaching and learning.
One of the things that makes this journey, so special is the fact that not only are we getting involved in the culture and the history and the amazing things that make Costa Rica so unique, but this journey in and of itself is unique because we have a chance to have that in career enrichment experience as well. So not only are we traveling to a beautiful country, but we're also traveling with like-minded people who we're developing both personally and professionally in regards to some of the things that we'll be learning. So tell us a little bit about that career enrichment that will be happening throughout the journey, Becky.
So our plan is to be able to have some school visits, to be able to talk with our counterparts, to do some professional development, and to become engaged in some of the children's lives and their work and what they're doing. So we'll briefly go into classrooms, talk to teachers, and again, network and share, and hopefully continue that opportunity to learn from one another, even though we won't be there all the time in Costa Rica, though we'd love to. We'll be able to create those networks that will last for a long, long time.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love about this kind of travel too, Becky. It's the network that you're building not only in Costa Rica, but the travelers that you come back with, right? So you create these relationships that really last almost a lifetime in certain instances, where if you have questions or you have thoughts or just you want to, connect and tell stories, you have this huge network across the country that kind of comes back from Costa Rica with this shared experience. And because it is professional development, some of the expenses may be deductible as well. So if you are interested in joining us, you can always talk to an accountant to talk about some of the expenses that might be deductible as well. So the itinerary itself is all about professional development, personal development, but also with Costa Rica, it's a little bit unique because there is this also language immersion and collaboration across borders. I think one of the great things is we're getting a chance to see firsthand how education happens in Costa Rica as well throughout our journey. Isn't that correct, Becky?
That's absolutely true. I love being able to walk through the classrooms and watch the children in action, and the teachers teaching and learning from not only, the things that we do in the US and see the application of other programs that they're using that are novel to us, but the way they've incorporated technology and how they're coming back after also COVID, trying to get a rebound from all of that stop that happened in Costa Rica that they're willing to tell us about.
And in terms of professional development, Nicola, is there anything that we missed? Anything that any kind of insight that you can provide from building the itinerary and creating this amazing journey?
No, it's I apologize if we have a little feedback here on my end. I'm coming to you live from San Francisco today. So I think Becky really covered it all. The unique thing about this one is the education and literacy standards in Costa Rica. Becky, you could probably talk to that a little bit too. They're so unique. Their focus and their dedication to the budgeting for education doesn't mean to say it isn't without its challenges, but they have such a high literacy rate in Costa Rica. And I think for people participating, especially for people in education who are supporting families with bilingual needs, especially Spanish, of course, it's such a unique opportunity to see the tools, the resources, and the dedication that the Costa Rican teachers and the education community has to that commitment, because English is also something that's introduced into the school at an early age. Is that right, Becky?
That's so right. And what's really interesting is that, you know, with Costa Rica, they're divided. The Ministry of Education has divided them into regions, and each region has a regional advisor that is like a English regional advisor and a math and an early childhood. So they're very focused on their content areas and the alignment of the standards that they have that are really, really important. I've been involved with that for the last 4 years in Costa Rica, dealing directly with the English language development, as well as the math and the technology. So I can speak to that once we're there. I have friends and colleagues that are now there that we're going to meet, and I know them firsthand. I've been to Costa Rica many times. So being able to be there with colleagues and to share the same mission that we know we want kids to learn to read and to be successful. And one of the things that's, as we know, is really important is the tourism in Costa Rica, and the children who are Spanish speakers are wanting to learn English, and the parents want them to learn English, and the employers want them to learn English and want them to be truly bilingual so that they are able to meet the needs of the tourists that are coming from all over the world in a multilingual fashion. And right now, their big focus is also on English. So we'll be seeing both sides of that, their Spanish language development, but their English language acquisition as well.
Yeah, I think that's the fascinating thing that I've observed when I've been on these delegations and been fortunate to travel with the leaders, is to see the network building, the idea sharing, and then the connections, ideas, and they come to life when you come back to the United States. And that's one of the beautiful things I think about the professional benefits of the journey too.
Yeah. And so as our viewers can tell, there's this constant collaboration between professional interaction, cultural immersion, and how they kind of feed into each other to create this one-of-a-kind journey to Costa Rica. So without further ado, let's talk about our itinerary and the experience our travelers are going to have. So this tour happening next year, 9 days, 8 nights, 15 meals. Day 1, we fly into San Jose. We overnight in San Jose, and we fly from San Jose. We spend day 2 in San Jose, and on day 3, we go from San Jose to Guanacaste. We spend 3 evenings in the Guanacaste region before traveling over to Arenal, where we spend 2 evenings and return home on our final day. Once we arrive in Costa Rica, please know that most flights will arrive in the evening. So we don't have anything planned for our arrival day, but you have a beautiful hotel to be spending some time in this evening, free time you have to explore before waking up the next morning in the beautiful city of San Jose in Costa Rica. We have breakfast included on this first morning, and after breakfast, we have an orientation with our welcome host, with our local guide. Our local guide will provide us some insight into what to expect on tour, some historical background, as well as some current info on the Costa Rican society and economy. Once we get our welcome breakfast in, and once we get our opportunity to learn a little bit more about Costa Rica, we're off to our very first local school visit. And I know, Becky, you've been working really hard to kind of plan some of these amazing experiences for our delegates. So tell us a little bit about what they can kind of experience here at our first school visit.
Well, we're hoping that we'll be able to come into school and tour it and look at the different resources that they have. I know the last time that I went in, I was very, very surprised to know that they didn't have libraries. So one of the things that we like to do as a leader, I like to do is if everybody could bring a children's book with them, and we could leave it for them so that they are able to build a little classroom library, share it in any way that they can, or maybe even a couple of books so we can leave them at the schools. And I like to do those kinds of little leave behinds as we come through. So if you can think of those things ahead of time and you're planning and getting excited about that. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to read to some of the children and be able to walk through and talk with them and interact with the teachers during their planning time. Some of the schools are only half day. They come in at very early in the morning, some at 7 in the morning and leave at 11. The next comes in at 12 and leaves at 4. The times vary for the different schools in the different areas. Some, as you know, are more little urban areas. Some are very, very rural. And when we go to Guanacaste, we'll see some of those more rural areas. I know that when I went the last time, they had an electrical thunderstorm and all the lights went out. And I'm glad my laptop was charged, because when I had to present, it was basically from my laptop because I couldn't project it. We had no electricity in the school. So we have to be prepared for those kinds of rainstorms and natural things that happen, because sometimes their Wi-Fi's go out, their electricity goes out. They're in these types of situations, and teaching must go on, right? So we're going to be experiencing some of those firsthand, and being able to see the teachers in action, which is what we want to do. And then just having some dialogue and finding out and asking questions. We'll prepare in that beginning. Before we begin, I'll have everybody prepare some questions that they want answered as they go through some goals, and personal goals and professional goals that we want to cover. And then we'll make sure that we get those answered, and we ask those along the way. So I'm so excited to be able to do some leave behind, some professional development, and also some visits, so we can take some really good thoughts back to where we are and what we do.
Yeah, that's great. I love that idea of the leave behind, because one of those things that we really honestly believe in at Nanda Journeys is, you take your memories with you, but you leave your footprints behind. And I feel like this is a great opportunity at this school visit for us to do that. And after the school visit, we get a chance to tour San Jose. We stop for lunch, and afterwards we take a city tour of San Jose, where we get a chance to visit the National Theater, along with many of the other sites that make San Jose so beautiful and unique. But we also stop at the Gold Museum, which houses some original pre-Columbian pieces of art, craft, and jewelry, which is going to be a very cool and unique experience. After our city tour, one of my favorite experiences on any tour that I've ever been on is the welcome dinner. We spent all day together. Maybe we've made a few friends along the first day journey. But one of my favorite parts of every journey is that welcome dinner. I know you've been on a few of these experiences, Becky. So tell me a little bit about what makes this welcome dinner that you feel so special for the travelers and the delegates that are a part of the journey.
The welcome dinner is amazing, because this is where you finally get to meet everyone and get to really bond. Because after it's all over, you're going to be besties. You're going to be really good friends. I still have connections all over from all of my journeys and all my trips that I still connect with, and we talk about and we meet. And so the great part is that you'll get to find out those shared missions, those shared goals. We'll get to meet one another and travel. And I've been at a welcome dinner where there were several delegations. There, the one in China, we had, I think, 5 or 6 buses of teachers. So there were, counseling delegation and early childhood one, which was mine. And there was just different ones in different parts of the education realm. So that was a huge welcome dinner. I'm just going to tell you a really quick story about that. So as you know, I put in the chat about the time difference. That means a lot to me, because when the first trip I went to, people to people, I went to Beijing. And when I was in Beijing, of course, you're going 18 hours in a flight and you're exhausted when you land. And then they say, don't go to sleep because your body needs to get up and go. Well, I couldn't sleep on the plane. So when I landed, I told my husband, stay up. He went with me, stay up. And I'm just going to take a 30-minute nap, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to be fresh, right? Because I showered and I was already ready to go. And well, I didn't realize that the man went to sleep too. And so all of a sudden the phone rings and I pick it up, and it's the leader of my delegation, the guide. And he says, Dr. Palacios, we're waiting for you downstairs at the welcome dinner. And I looked at my husband, who's fast asleep, right? And I'm like, you were supposed to go to sleep. And he kept saying, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I'm like, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. And so it was a crazy first launch of my first international trip. And so my mistake, it was, of course, going to sleep. My mistake was trusting my husband to wake me up. But anyway, so it ended up, what he said, I ended up like very harried and very hurried. But we ended up on a great note. It was a great trip, very positive. The Great Wall, all of that was amazing. The visits to the schools and universities. So, the welcome dinner is really where we bond and we meet. And of course, we have to look at first impressions and say, okay, well, yeah, she did go to sleep. But anyway, they forgave me and I was there in time to finish it up. And it's a beautiful, wonderful time to get together and get to know one another. And that's when we planned, I brought 5 books and we're going to meet, 5 different schools, or maybe I'll do the first 5 and you do the next. And so we do all our little planning there to get ready and to get going. And we enjoy the wonderful food. As you can see, this one is from Costa Rica. One of the restaurants that I went to, food was delicious. And so we'll get to enjoy one another in this beautiful scenery.
Yeah. That's great. I love that story. I mean, that's what makes travel so unique. It's the stories that you kind of take back with you. Good, bad, ugly. It's all the same. But I really love the welcome dinner because this is the first place where, initially you're trying to get people to start talking, and by like day 2 or 3, you're trying to get them to stop talking so that way you can tell them what's happening next. So this is where all that magic really starts to take place. And why I've always loved the welcome dinner is one of my favorite parts. On day 3, we leave San Jose on our way up to Guanacaste. On our way to Guanacaste, we stop in Palo Verde National Park. We start with a delicious cup of coffee, fruits, natural beverages in the middle of Guanacaste in the plains, and we stop at this amazing national park where we get a chance to see a wide variety of birds and other animals, including howler monkeys, white-faced capuchins, as well as crocodiles. There's so many species that we have a chance to see here in our natural habitat. That's part of the reason why we're going to Costa Rica is what they say, the flora and the fauna is unlike anywhere else in the world. So you get a chance to see all these amazing animals and plants, having the opportunity to learn about the production also of high quality rum. Who doesn't want to learn about how rum is created? I mean, part of travel is, tasting the food, but also, what the liquor is like as well. But we get a chance to learn about that here in Costa Rica as well. And before we head off to Guanacaste, and after we leave the national park, we actually stop for a typical Costa Rican buffet here for lunch. And I know that you've been, Becky, to Costa Rica. Tell me a little bit about, what's that typical food like and kind of what your favorite things to eat in Costa Rica are.
Well, the food varies. It just depends on where you are and what they have to offer. But, you'll have a typical black beans and different kinds of rice. The fruit is very fresh, and also the fruit juices in the mornings or breakfast. And of course, you'll have your typical eggs and toast or whatever, but they'll make different kinds of pudding desserts. One was with pineapple that was really, really good that I really enjoyed. And so you'll have a variety, as you saw in the picture, of different kinds of food that you're used to. They all have pizza and things like that. All there's Subways. So if there's something that you don't like, there's always something there to back it up. But the authentic types of food are available in all different kinds of restaurants. And what I've learned is everybody is so gracious, so giving, so loving, so welcoming in Costa Rica. That's one of the things that really stands out. They really believe in Pura Vida. They do believe in that motto so deeply that you don't feel like a stranger in a different country. You feel like you're home.
That's amazing. And this is a great opportunity for us to mention that anybody, if you have any kind of food aversions or any allergies, please work with Nanda Journeys. We're happy to kind of accommodate any kind of food requirements that you need. Although we are overseas, we do realize that there are certain allergies that we must avoid, and we will work with every individual traveler depending on what you need. So the food is delicious. There's plenty of it, and there's plenty to taste and try. But if you are one of those that does need a specific meal, vegetarian or elsewise, we're happy to work with you on that. After lunch, we arrive in Guanacaste. This is an actual picture from the hotel that we will be at, steps away from the ocean, which is an amazing and beautiful place to be spending some time. All the rooms have AC. We have a gorgeous pool for us to spend some downtime in here before spending day 4. And dinner is on our own this evening at the hotel for a nice, relaxing evening before starting day 4 of our journey. And on day 4 is our professional program and school visit. And I know, Becky, this is kind of a lot that you've been working on. Tell us a little bit about the organization that we're going to be visiting here, kind of your experience and the experience that our delegates might be able to have.
So here in Guanacaste, I'm fortunate to work with a nonprofit called Creciendo Juntos, and it's run by the director, Elsa Bonilla, who will be one of our speakers at one of our sessions. And they focus on health, education, the welfare of the Guanacaste area in Peninsula Papagayo. And they have wonderful fundraising to be able to provide support and help in those areas to that Guanacaste area in the schools. And so one of our projects that I work with as I work with ABC Mouse Age of Learning, we've worked with Creciendo Juntos to really develop English through ABC Mouse Aprende Inglés, and with My Math Academy, which is available in English and Spanish. So I've been working with those teachers in not only Guanacaste, actually all of Costa Rica to implement it, but most especially we began in this Guanacaste area with Creciendo Juntos. And you'll be just so impressed with Elsa and all of the work that they do to support the families in this area through their nonprofit, and how they give them agency to become better parents, to reach out to their kids, to be able to learn themselves as adults, to be able to better their lives, and in the health, education, welfare initiatives that they run in this area. And the schools are amazing. You'll see some pictures of those later on. I took some in Guanacaste. You'll love to be able to see some of those teachers in action there as well.
Yeah, and you had mentioned Elsa as someone who is a part of the organization. One of the great parts about this journey is that one-on-one interaction. We actually have a chance to have lunch with Elsa after our tour of the school and our visit to the school. Tell us a little bit about Elsa, her involvement in the organization, and what her role is in helping.
Yeah, she's a director and she's brilliant. She has everything under control. She runs the organization with about, I want to say when last I went, there were 5 employees that ran the Creciendo Juntos implementation of health, education, welfare initiatives that she runs through this nonprofit. Again, they're seeking many kinds of grants to be able to deliver that type of support. We call them wraparound services. They're trying to do all of that. They're in those schools in the Guanacaste area with great success. She collects all the data on any types of projects, longitudinal research that they're doing to see the impact and the effect of their nonprofit Creciendo Juntos on the schools and the families in there. We have one going with Age of Learning, and I know there's other ones with the University of Costa Rica that they work with very closely. So she not only directs the initiatives, but she's highly involved in the training and in the data collection and in the public relations part of what their work is. So basically running a nonprofit, she's the director and you got to wear many hats. She's brilliant.
So when you said bring questions with you, we can talk about questions. She's one of the people that you're going to want to be asking questions of, because she's got a lot of knowledge and insight to be able to share. And after our lunch, we get a chance to visit the National Technical Training Institute here as well in Costa Rica. And I know that, Nicola, you've kind of been very involved in kind of setting this up. Tell us a little bit about the National Technical Training Institute.
Yeah, one of the things we love to do, and Becky has been super gracious to introduce us to many of her wonderful connections and teachers in Costa Rica, but we like to provide opportunities for you to see all different types of training, all different types of teaching. And at the National Technical Training Institute, you'll get to meet with the teachers and the students and see what different pathways are available to children in Costa Rica, different types of education. And many children go on to university, and as Becky has mentioned, working in the tourism industry is huge, but there are lots of other needs for educating our children and the children of Costa Rica in terms of a different pathway that they might take. So as Becky mentioned earlier, you'll see urban school settings, you'll see very rural school settings, and you'll see the different pathways and opportunities that are presented to the children and the students of Costa Rica. So trying to give you a varied look into the education system as a whole.
Yeah. And this will be a great way for us to kind of wrap up our professional day of training and learning and experiencing some of the educational opportunities for the children here in Costa Rica. And on day 4, we continue our efforts in learning about the Costa Rican education system with opportunities to volunteer here at the local schools. So Becky, I know that when you were here, you had a chance to do some volunteer work and kind of help out with the schools. Tell us a little bit about some of the volunteer activities or hands-on activities that our delegates will be able to experience on this journey.
Well, we're still planning those pieces because we want to make sure that we have permissions and all of that. So we're in the process of doing all that right now. But my plan is to be able to, like this classroom that I went to go and visit, able to go in and see the classrooms, what they're equipped with, what their resources are, what, the schedule is like, how they, credential their teachers, anywhere from the staff work and needs and all the bit, every time I talk about, well, the teachers are so busy, so they have a lot on their plates, right? And the population sometimes is so big that they have to do, like I said, 2 shifts of classroom time. So some teachers share a classroom, so it's like, don't touch my stuff, kind of, how that goes, right? As a teacher, and so my stuff's here and my stuff's there, and things like that, and so you can see this is a classroom that's pretty sparse, right? And so you look at that and you think, wow, I wish they had the resources that we have, the books that they have. They just didn't have the money for those libraries. That's one of the things that shocked me. So, we brought in our tech project to be able to provide, tech opportunities where there's books available online to supplement that, especially in English. They have them in Spanish, but the English is the hard part, right? And they're learning to speak English. So we wanted to give them those opportunities that are there. So definitely want to be able to plan so with some high level MEP, Ministry of Education in Spanish, Ministerio de Educación Pública. It's the MEP, and so I'm fluent and bilingual, so I can go in and do some of the work in Spanish if I need to, and we can do some immersion, right? You can learn some of that Spanish as well as we're going through and working with the teachers, because a lot of them do speak Spanish, and only the English teachers speak. They call them the teachers in English, the last teachers. The teachers will speak in English, and so we'll meet with them too. But definitely, I will be glad to interpret any other types of interactions that we have with Spanish-speaking colleagues.
Yeah, I think the other thing, Becky, is you make a good point that the itinerary is always an evolution, because the other thing that we want to accommodate is the delegates that choose to join this wonderful opportunity. They may have certain specialties, or they may be able to also bring some key things to the table for the teachers that we're interacting with, and they may actually have specific things that they might want to learn. So the itinerary is always evolving. We'll collect bios from all of our participants, and we ask them specifically, what curiosities do you have? What things do you think you can take to Costa Rica? What tools and talents do you think you could share also? So nothing's ever final, but it's evolving to make sure that everybody has the best possible engagement on the itinerary. Of course, the places and the locations are all set, but we will be tailoring the program to the final delegates in terms of what they are participating in and what their current roles are in the United States. So thanks for that, Becky.
And just as a point to that, their school calendar is very, very different. Ours starts in September and goes to May. Theirs starts in February, and then they have a break in July, and then they come back and finish school in November. So they're wrapping up their school year right now in November. Then they have a big break in December, and then, like I said, December, part of January, and they don't come until February. So very, very, very different. Also very Catholic religious types of connections with the schools. So don't be surprised to walk in and see Catholic types of icons in the schools. They're merged together. So you'll see religious holidays celebrated. They don't come to school on a certain religious holidays like Easter, the whole Holy Week. They're not there. And so the influence of the religion is big in their schooling too. So you'll be able to see that, and the way they have different types of national holidays and the ways that they celebrate and do those things, which are so fun and exciting to see. And then you can learn from them and their energy for their country.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the insight that's going to make this journey so unique, that kind of seeing the other side and how they operate, and maybe taking some of the great things that they're doing back with us. And a great opportunity to ask more questions is having an opportunity to have lunch with some local school faculty and students. This is where your bilingual skills might be able to come in handy, Becky, as we have these great conversations during lunch with some local schools and faculty and students. And then after lunch, we continue to the community home and gardens And I know, Nicola, this is something, again, that you and the team at Nanda Journeys, our team here, have really been kind of putting together. Can you tell us a little bit about the home gardens here that we're going to be experiencing after lunch?
Yeah, there's a lot of integration, especially in the rural communities, to teach the value of growing your own produce. A lot of the schools, the families will have farms and they're working in the farming industry as well. The community gardens is a way of bringing that all together, especially in the rural community. So this is a great opportunity. They have wonderful produce in Costa Rica, as Becky mentioned earlier. The fruits and the vegetables are so fresh. So it's an integrated part of the community coming to the school. So I think this is going to be a great experience for everybody. And I'm sure there'll be some wonderful local snacks made available to you here as well. So you're not going to go hungry in Costa Rica. I still remember the food from the last time I was there, and that's several years ago now. So you're going to have a great experience. The immersion with the local community is really what's important for us here at Nanda Journeys.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this garden definitely was very useful during the pandemic too, where it helped the local communities and things like that. So they'll learn all of those things about the garden and the community that it serves as well. The following day, we leave from Guanacaste to the beautiful Arenal area. On our way, we stop at visit a wildlife sanctuary and rescue center that was created back in the early 60s. This is another great opportunity for us to experience some of the culture and the wildlife that Costa Rica has to offer. Nowadays, the center is not only the oldest of its kind in the country, but one of the most well visited in the country as well. So we'll get a chance to learn a lot about the wildlife that live in the jungles. After our stop here, we go to the cloud forest, where we visit the hanging bridges, which is located in over 618 acres of reserve. There's 3 kilometers of trail, so there's plenty of bridges to walk. Getting a chance to see that you've seen the wildlife from the ground. Now you get a chance to see it from the bird's eye view. For those of you that are afraid of heights, please know that it's not a requirement that you walk on the bridges, but you can experience the bridges if you'd like, because there's over 14 bridges from 5 to over 100 meters long. One of them located at a height of over 45 meters. So if you are feeling a little daring, you are looking to get really high into the trees, you have those opportunities. For me, not being afraid of heights, this looks like an amazing experience and one that I would be looking forward to if I was able to join you on this journey as well. So these hanging bridge walk in Arenal is going to be certainly a highlight of where the culture and the experience is going to feed in. After our stop at the hanging bridges, we get a chance to visit the hot springs. Nicola has had a chance to visit these hot springs. I don't know if you're there, Nicola, to kind of provide us with insight. I can see her camera is off, so maybe she is not.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am here. I'm having some noise interference, so I'm just walking to a quieter area. So the echo to my hot springs is wonderful. We chose this really purposefully because it's a small hot springs that is really enjoyed by the local community. There is another larger hot springs in the area that, if you've researched Costa Rica or considered going there anytime, is called Tabacon. And Tabacon is more like a spa or something you might find at a large all-inclusive resort. So it's a lot more touristy. But the
sounds like we lost you, Nicola. But what she was what she was talking
more
about
authentic
or
experience.
yeah, no worries at all. So actually, we get a chance to settle into
Can
our
you hear me
hotel as
again?
well before we just. Yeah, we can hear you. We get a chance to settle into our hotel before visiting the hot springs. These hot springs are unique because they are of magmatic origin. So the opportunity for you to relax and rest in these hot springs, they do have anti-inflammatory and muscle relaxing properties due to the high mineral content. So you have the opportunity to really relax after all the walking and experiencing you've been doing. This is your chance to focus on yourself and really get a chance to re-energize before our final day, including community immersion within Costa Rica. So we have dinner at our hotel and we head back out into the community to meet some of the indigenous locals and visit to a local farm. I know, hopefully, Nicola, are you back? Or are you still moving?
I'm back. Can you hear me? I'm so sorry for the interference.
No worries. We can hear you. Can we hear you? Hello? No, we can't. So no worries. So we get a chance to visit the local indigenous community. The Maleku indigenous people here have lived in the jungles and in the Costa Rican wilderness for a long time. We get a chance to experience their culture, having an opportunity to learn about their experience here, their long-standing history in the region, as well as getting a chance to visit a local farm and learn about the farming culture that makes Costa Rica so unique as well. And just like we had our welcome dinner, we also have our farewell dinner. Our farewell dinner is kind of bittersweet. I can see Becky, giving a sad face. I know, just like the welcome dinner is such a highlight for me. The farewell dinner is also a highlight, but in a different way. It's a highlight because it's one of those things that it's a bittersweet moment. You're ready to sleep in your own bed, but it's also a chance to say goodbye to the travelers and the friends that you've made. So, Becky, I know that you've been on many of these tours. Tell us about the specialness that farewell dinner has at the end of a tour.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to leave. It's really a farewell, and we're like, no, I don't want to go. You've bonded so much after all those experiences that it's like no other. And so it's really amazing to get together and reflect and think about what we've been through and how we're going to take this back and how we're going to use it, right? And I think that farewell dinner really, summarizes everybody's feelings, thoughts, reflections, and opportunities for taking it back and sharing it. Because I think that's really important. You don't want it just to stay with you. Part of it, the experience, is to be able to go back and share it with others in some kind of, faculty meeting or some type of professional learning community, PLC, whatever it may be, what you've learned, because that learning is going to be really good to transfer over and say, this experience, this happened, this is what they do, this is what I've learned. And I think that learning experience is what we're going through when we're looking at Nanda, is how we've grown and how we've learned, not only from, one another in that, that group, but also what we've learned from the people in the country. And I think that's so powerful in the farewell dinner to be able to talk about that.
Yeah, and I believe that's a great point, and it's one of those things that this is where the exchanging of contact information can happen. The network continues beyond the farewell dinner, but this is where you really solidify those relationships that you've made along the way and really share your insights, your favorite pictures. People learn how to air. What is that called? I still need to learn how to do it, but you can go from one phone to the next with pictures. It's called air sharing or something like that on iPhones. But you can learn how to do all that stuff, and it's a great, great evening. It's bittersweet. You're sad to be saying goodbye, but it's a great celebration of an amazing journey. Anything to add there, Nicola?
Yeah, I'm back. And so thank you for your patience, everybody. I've just had a great learning moment here too. So think ahead to big public announcements that are going to be made for the Alcatraz cruise that I brought my family to today. So I was trying to avoid that background noise. But yeah, I think on Nanda Journeys, the most important thing to me, at least, is the people connections. And as you mentioned earlier, Michael, going in strangers, coming home friends. And that's not just friends with the colleagues that you're traveling with, but it's friends with the people that you meet along the way, both professional and cultural. So there's lots of opportunities in the program for you to really embrace the beautiful Costa Rican culture, the Pura Vida. I have many, many animal memories from down there. The monkeys are they're everywhere. And seeing a toucan, those things that we've only ever seen in books before, or maybe at a local zoo, they stay with you, and they stayed with my children. But as an adult, those things stay with me too. And Costa Rica truly is a warm and special place. And I hope you really enjoy it. And Becky, thank you for creating this most powerful, wonderful itinerary with us. It's the collaboration of creativity is always something that we really enjoy at Nanda, creating unique programming that really isn't replicated through other travel opportunities. So I hope everybody can make it.
Absolutely. And so now that you know all about it and you're excited to join us, let's talk details. Like I had mentioned, Education Systems Journey to Costa Rica is departing June 9th to the 16th, 2024, which is a 9-day, 8-night journey featuring 15 meals. This journey starts at $34.99 per person, land only. Airfare can be coordinated through the team at Nanda Journeys to kind of collaborate with them to make sure that we're all getting to San Jose and home from San Jose. If you are planning on traveling as a single, the single supplement is $999. If you are interested in signing up, the deposit due is only $500 per person. Travel insurance is always highly recommended. And I can tell you that if you are interested in signing up, that deposit minus a $95 service fee is fully refundable up until January 10th, 2023. The reason I mention that is because space is limited on this itinerary, and we always tell our travelers it's better to hold your spot. If you think you want to go, give it, put your $500 deposit down, hold your spot. And if something changes in your life or something happens that you can't join us, you can always get that $500 back minus the $95 service fee, of course. So it's better to have that seat and decide you don't need it than to want us to join us. And unfortunately, our tour be sold out and you can't join us and you're on the wait list. So,
and of course,
with
that's
that being
January 20. That's January 24, Michael. I know we live in multiple
24,
years
I
in
just
our
noticed
world,
that.
but yeah, it's still January 24.
24. I looked at this back, yeah, January 2024. So I apologize for that. It's January 10th,
Not at all.
2024. So there's still many months to sign up. So with that being said, questions and concerns, like I had mentioned when we started, everybody is muted, but that does not mean we don't want to hear your questions. We absolutely do. Now that we've talked about everything that this itinerary has to offer, we want to be able to hear from you. So please click on the Q&A or the chat box, type in your questions. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. I have one question of my own in regards to packing and what to expect this time of the year for travelers that are looking to join you. What do you anticipate? What do you recommend that they pack? And this question can either be for you, Nicola, or Becky, whichever one.
And I can answer that for Costa Rica. It's a temperate climate year round. They do have a green season, a rainy season, and I hope you will get to experience the beautiful rain there because that's what keeps everything so lush and green. It's usually in the afternoon or in the evening times. So having a waterproof layer, but you should experience nice warm temperatures. It's not going to be cold. It's a little bit humid, but not overly humid. And my experience, I haven't specifically been in this particular month, but it is a very temperate climate year round. And Becky, I don't know if this is the time of year that you've been specifically, but you can expect really wonderful temperatures in the 60s, I would say, for the high 60s, early 70s for the most part.
I know when I went in June, it was super hot. So
was it super hot?
Maybe it was
Yeah.
a crazy, upper 80s. And so it was warm. It was very, very warm. So, you just have to be comfortable. Have a layer to take off and put on, a little light jacket or whatever, just in case. But short sleeves and pants or jeans. I remember wearing dressy clothes and being warm because I was presenting. So, but it was warm. Not all the schools actually I don't think any of the schools had air conditioning. So I dressed moderately so that I would be able to have a layer or not. But it was warm when I went in June. But we'll check the temperature before we go, so we'll know.
Yeah.
Right. And in terms of that, you brought up a question that kind of popped into my head. In terms of the professional engagement and that sort of thing, is it, do they need to have any kind of professional clothes, or is it kind of all smart casual kind of dress?
Yeah, I would say business casual, as Becky said, business casual, and they don't have ACs in the schools, so that's a really good point. Becky is definitely to have layering, but yeah, business casual. And I do see we have a question about the guest program, and is there a specific guest program? We have not planned one at the moment for this particular itinerary because we felt couple of different reasons. There was a real strong educational component that we've developed here to make it appealing to educators, but also the content I think would really resonate for the most part with accompanying guests. But if somebody does have a guest that they're considering bringing along, we'd be happy to create some opportunities for that guest to participate in cultural activities and chat with you one-on-one about what that might look like for your participating guest. Maybe let us know a little bit about what they would enjoy, what they would like, how much downtime they would like, but there isn't a specific itinerary being developed for an accompanying guest program.
And then we also have a question in regards to the deposit deadline. What is the deposit deadline? We had mentioned January 10th, 2024 is, kind of our deposit deadline. In regards to, a deposit deadline, do you recommend that they deposit early just in case? I know we had kind of talked about it briefly, but any kind of insight there, Nicola?
Yeah, on the deposit, there isn't a deadline specifically. We typically make a go decision for our journeys about 3 or 4 months beforehand, and it's each delegation signs up in a different kind of time frame. So the mode to enroll tends to be different. So I would say there isn't a deadline per se, other than that 60 days before travel or when the delegation fills up is the deadline that we kind of hold true to. So Sandra, it's always difficult to tell when a delegation is going to fill, but as Michael said, that deposit is refundable, less than $95 fee until January 24.
Awesome. And so that brings us to the end of our presentation. If you are interested or have additional questions, please always feel free to reach out to us at Nanda Journeys, either by phone call at 888-747-7501 or via email at info@nandajourneys.com. Before we head off, any final words, Becky, that you want to share with our delegates?
Giddy up, y'all. I'm from Texas. Come join us.
We look forward to having you. Nicola, same question to you. Any final words?
Who wouldn't want to join Becky in Costa Rica? That's all I have to say.
Well, thank you both so much for joining me this evening. Thank you all who are participants and listening and viewing our webinar this evening. We look forward to seeing you at a future NANDA presentation, but more importantly, we look forward to seeing you in Costa Rica in June. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.